So is this thing I'm looking at, is this the overflow of everything related to managing your tasks, or is this
No,
about the Taskflow app?
this is about the Taskflow app. This is my
Existing products. Okay. So like a
this
mind
is
map.
yeah, this is a mind map, the usual mind map software that I use, and I just want to talk you through my
Okay.
thinking, and
Okay.
then I'm going to go into the mock-up. So one thing is I'm getting a clearer idea of where this thing fits, like why do it. So we've got the existing products, we've got to-do apps, we've got project management apps, we've got the big ass text file, which is what a lot of us use. So a lot of us, and what's interesting is, I thought that Taskflow was actually in competition, but in a way it's not. I think what I've found is a gap. So there's so you know that metaphor, the last mile metaphor. I don't even know if it's a mental model, but it's a metaphor. So basically, you get a plane, you fly from London to New York, but that doesn't get you to where you're going. You've got to get in a cab, or walk, or somehow get that last mile to actually get where you're going. So I think that project management tools, and these are all the things like Asana and Jira, these tools are the flight from England to New York. And then what we do is we, as people, I think most people fall into this bucket. You go ahead and you use a big ass text file, or you use a to-do app, or you write down on a piece of paper. That last mile, you like, okay, I've got to take the trash out. I've got to do this piece of work.
You can actually do the work that you're planning on doing.
You do the work that you're planning on doing, but it's so project management apps are just about the tasks that you have to do for your company, right?
Yeah.
And a big ass text file and a to-do app, you list the stuff that you need to do for yourself and the stuff you need to do for your company. And maybe if you're working for 3 companies, you list the stuff that you need to do for 3 companies. So you sort of manage the last mile of task management in that localized app. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
And I think that most people do that. So it's like a universal space. And what I think that hasn't been done before is no one's thought about systematizing and extracting data from that last mile of task management and sort of creating
it. Yeah, just like your personal data, or is it aggregated somehow?
Well, sort of learning. So that's what I'm going to show you. That's what I'm going to show you with the mock-ups that I've got going on. So so the whys, just real quick. Why am I sort of thinking about this is because when you just have tasks in a text file or a to-do list, you're not really analyzing those tasks. You're not really thinking about why you should do those tasks. I mean, you are, but maybe what I believe there could be a more optimal way. That's my thesis, right? That's what I'm sort of thinking here. So I think that with the right tool, you could work smarter and not harder. You could pick the right tasks. You could even do tasks that you weren't even thinking of doing, and basically bring more happiness to your life, and basically, essentially optimize the moment of getting work done and the task choices. So it's really optimize the moment of getting work done, the moment of work, the last mile, and spending time wisely. So the product concept for that, this is the concept rather than the mock-up, is really just thinking about, this is really me looking at it from a scratch your own itch perspective. So it's basically a task workspace, which is the equivalent of the big ass text file. Like it's a place where I'm sort of working. It's like a scratch pad. So I'm only working on this task right now. I don't want any distraction, and I want it to be a kind of scratch pad. Then I want a task queue where I can basically bring in my tasks from a queue, but rather, of course, I want all the usual things, like I want to be able to tag tasks, I want to be able to color code tasks, and that's the way that like every to-do app works or whatever. But what I want to bring into it is this idea of the system knowing why I need to do each task. So the system understands my personal life context per task. And based on understanding why I should do that task, it could offer me different strategies and different ways of ranking the tasks.
So could you give an example of that? So it's kind of abstract.
Yeah, I can give you a very firm example. Let me just So let's say, for example, you had a cat shelter. Okay,
All right.
you could with the system that I'm thinking about, you can add different. Maybe it's better for me to walk you through the product because it kind of would make more sense, and then we'll come back to
Okay.
this. Yeah.
Or do you have one in it? Well, I guess it's still mock-up.
It's still mock-up.
Yeah.
Dude, dude, I didn't build it yet.
Well, I mean, you like make your own CSS framework in a day. I mean, that's what I expect.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I first of all made it dark. So I'll just quickly show you that.
That looks way nicer.
It's not just going to be dark, like it's gonna be skinnable. So here's this. I call this the Swedish ski jacket skin. Because this literally comes from Swedish ski jacket. Okay. Watch this. So this is the exact branding that I used for Nugget. By the way, this is where I got there. Here we go. Swedish ski jacket.
It does look familiar. Wow.
Yeah. So that's the Nugget color scheme. So I really like that color scheme. But Nugget is a bit more heavy on the orange. This is really sort of nicer. The Midnight Coder, I got that from basically it's based on the text editor here. And then Something's Got to Give. Myself and my wife love that movie, Something's Got to Give, and the house that they have in the movie looks like this. So that's where that skin comes from. And then my sister, who loves hot pink and ice blue.
Oh my gosh,
Sarah Jane. So I think one thing about it's something that I didn't put in the product spec, but you want to feel really comfortable in this tool that you're spending a lot of time in, that you essentially have open all the time. So what I want it to like open up every time I go to open the browser. It's the first thing that comes up. You know, it's my basic tool. All right. So what I want to show here is, let me just move this stuff around a bit.
So is this going to be a Chrome plugin or something like that?
No, it's just going to be an app.
Okay.
This is going to be like a cloud-based app. That'll be how it'll start off. I mean, it may do other things. It may move to mobile apps and stuff like that, but it will be an app. Okay, so what I would just want to show you here is this is what I've been thinking about how to do it. So I remember I spoke about the queue. So all the tasks would be here. So you click there and you could access all the tasks. And then here is strategies, is where you could click and then basically you get a list of strategies that are important to you, like just one thing, structure procrastination, happy wife, happy life.
That's a strategy, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna explain how you put these strategies into the system and how this can apply to basically any strategy that you're thinking of doing. So did I talk to you about structure procrastination?
You have talked about that. And happy wife, happy life was pretty easy to guess.
Yeah.
The kid launch program and For the Win, I have no idea.
Well, we'll get into the details of that. So let me just I'll just go back to here. So you'll see that, you know, this is my task that I'm currently working on. I've got a little clock here so I can track the time if I want to. I don't have to, but I can just to help you, you know, quantify it a bit more. This is the time now. And that's the point, that this is now. And this is what I'm doing. And so I've got this idea of, as you pick tasks, you put them into the next wins queue. So there, you don't really want, you know, more than 3 or 4 things in that queue, the next wins. And if for some reason something, you stopped using something, you can basically move it to an on hold status. So it goes into an on hold. And then a done status. So really there's just 3 statuses. So the reason why I'm not using Kanban is because I find that so overwhelming. When I get anything more than 10 tasks in my backlog, it's like, oh man, that's too overwhelming. So that's another.
Is on hold different than that though? Like
on hold is just like that, but because it's a list and it's like, well, on hold isn't your backlog. This is your backlog down here, but you'll see why this is different to a backlog. Like a backlog on a Kanban board is overwhelming because when you get over 10, it's like, well, how the hell do I find anything? You know, like, how do I look at this? What do and you just end up creating another board, and then that gets to 10 backlog, and then you create another board. But these types of systems where you've got searches and you can, so for example, you can easily sort tasks, you know, by color, you know, or you can search through tasks, or you can have a look at them by the different, you know, the outstanding aspect of them. These types of lists are much easier to just use through when you have thousands of items. Okay, so there's the three different states that it can be in. This is your overall backlog. So in terms of the task workspace, this is the task workspace, and this is the now time. And then this is kind of how you're managing your now time. In terms of the task queue, everything's down here where you can list it in big lists with strategies and tasks. And then there's a task analysis. We're going to talk about that in a bit. So what I was talking about with the strategies, and this is kind of what makes this different, is that here is this like volume levels. Mm-hmm. So it makes it quite easy to set the volume level of these different things. I think volume level is the paradigm that I'm thinking about this.
So like the value of the task.
Yeah, so like task size, right? So how big is it? And it's like it's either nothing or it goes up to 5.
All right, I guess that would be an anti-value. You'd want like a really small task size and a huge impact.
So basically, happiness impact. Now, these are not, apart from size and urgency and maybe pain, and this is the key, these are not predefined. These are user created. So basically, happiness impact is something that this user has created. Revenue impact is something that this user's created. Now, there may be strategies on the system where it sort of defaults. So during your onboarding setup, it's like, is your goal to improve your marriage? Is your goal to, earn your wealth or whatever? And in which case it'll set up default ones of these, and you'll see how that all hangs together in a second. But I just want to show you that.
Are those on a per task basis, or
they're on a per task basis, and there's ways to get it in really quickly.
Okay, so like you can have like I don't know, like clean the shed, and that doesn't have to have a revenue impact.
Exactly. So
gotcha.
So I want to click on next wins because this is kind of an important screen, and I think this is where you'll start to see how this whole thing hangs together. So click on next wins. So here, I've just got 3 things that I'm thinking about working on right this moment. So yeah, I've got some things in my, if I was to click back there, it would be my specific task that, because there's only one task at a time. But my next wins, I can flick through here as well. I've got these 3. And from this screen, I can, if I want, move between them. So it's also a now way of like, okay, I'm going to spend some time on this one. I'm going to spend some time on this one.
What are the red and green lights on the left? On the right side.
So those are the colors. So you can assign colors to any task. So basically, you just go ahead into a task, and there's a little thing here to click, and you can assign it colors. And what that means is that it's just another way. So there's multiple ways for you to organize stuff. So I wanted to create a very flexible system so that you could use one of 5 colors. You can add multiple tags, and then when you sort by color, when you're in the main listing area, you can just go up here and say, "Show me all the green ones." So or if you wanted search, you can say, "Show me all the ones with this keyword." So it's just a super fast and flexible way for you to sift. Sift is a good word, to sift through your hundreds/thousands of tasks that you've got in your overall backlog. So here, show me all the ones ordered by, how much time I've spent on them, kind of thing. Here, show me all the ones by the different facets. So just going back into this this thing here. So what you'll notice is this is one company I work for is called Modern Teacher, and the task that I had to do here was to add an icon in the framework view and make it a different color from other icons. Okay. So that according to this, I would have put day job impact. That's a pretty big day job impact because they really want me to do it. But the task size is really small, so that's kind of cool. So what you'll notice here is, I don't know if you can see this, but it says for the win 79. Yeah. So what that means is that the strategy that I got this task from was by looking at for the win strategy. And what the for the win strategy does, which is a strategy that I can make up, because I can make any strategy, is it basically goes, you get a score from 0 to 100 based on how small the task size is and how big the day job impact is.
Okay.
And so when I go into strategies here, that'd be for the win. I'd click it and it would give me a list like this, and I would see the different scores. I haven't mocked this part up yet. And it'd be like, this is a 100 score and for the win. I click this little thing and it pushes it into the next win queue. And so the next win, this is cool because this is something, small and it's got a high impact and I don't need to do too much. And so that this is why this is a good choice. Now, this one here, capture the full meeting details when meetings scheduled, CC to the team. This might actually, this did not come in through a task strategy. This was just something that I clicked on tasks because I just really wanted to do it. But when I actually look at it and think about it, it doesn't make sense to do like right now over any of these other ones, because actually it's got a high pain level, the task size is small, and the data, no one cares about it apart from me. So, so like, it's like, wait a second, the data is reflecting my own choices back to me. Why do you want to do that, over that?
Yeah. And since it all came from you kind of be arguing with yourself to go against it.
Exactly. You're arguing on what the system is.
And maybe you input the wrong stuff, but I can see why that.
So the system shows you the choices that you're making and reflects them back. And it's like talking to a good colleague with a good cognitive processing who's saying, wait a second, what that's not an optimal plan right now,
Yeah.
So you'll see how it gets deeper into that.
This is way more involved than I was thinking from your initial descriptions. This seems like the Anki of task management, like super customizable, and it will. I mean, if all goes well, like this will attract huge task nerds who like write blog posts about their strategies for using it and spend almost as much time optimizing the meta level as actually doing it.
Well, exactly, and I'm glad you said that. In fact, there was even a blog post that I was just reading. If you want to get good something, get good at the meta game, like understand the meta.
Oh,
game.
I read that. I did not totally agree with that, but it probably depends on the domain.
So I think these strategies are essentially, in a way, like they're sort of. I guess they're a little bit meta, like you say.
Well, I mean, I just mean that this like a tool with this many knobs you can play with is going to attract people. Much. Have you ever used Anki, the space repetition system?
No, I haven't. No.
So are you familiar with space repetition systems?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever, for some reason, want to memorize like all the capitals of the countries and states, or you want to like memorize a bunch of foreign language words, something like that, make flashcards, that's the popular tool to use for it. But it's this very complex open source thing that's been around for a long time. And people get like super hardcore into tuning all of the knobs and adjusting exactly how they want. This is
like, didn't you already say from our previous discussions that this is sort of like CrossFit? Did you say that?
The workout of the day. That's you said something, because like if you're supplying content of like, here's your like task management workout of the day, like that's super CrossFit.
Yeah. So okay. So just continuing on with this.
Sorry.
So basically, this one is like launch new nugget batch. So what's interesting, I even learned something just by mocking this up. So the pain level is high because I really don't want to do it. The task size is medium, but the revenue impact is maximum. And basically, the one big thing strategy. So that this is like a task selection strategy, which is you do one big thing that is going to have the most impact on all the things that you do. So this is getting a 95 out of 100 from the one big thing strategy. So it makes a lot of sense, and it literally has changed.
Yeah, it seems like you got to do it.
Right, it's literally changed my mind. Like I was not going to do this. I was putting this off for months, but now that I actually put it on the board here and look at it, I'm like, wait a second, that really makes sense to do. I'm going to do that within the next week or two. So now I want to just show you like how, and this is what I really like about this. This can help a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And this is what has got me excited about it more than I was before. So going back to this, let's say you were a cat shelter owner. You could create a strategy, these things. You could basically create a new strategy from this menu, manage. And you could say, I want to create a best for my cat shelter strategy. And I'm going to add a meter for helps the cats, increases donations, improves the shelter, brings in volunteers. So then when I add a task, I haven't mocked this up yet, but I add a task, and then it'll have these vectors here. And so it's super quick for me. I like, it's just like the way that I'll do the UI is you like hover over and then you just click, hover over and then click. So you'll be able to quickly do that. Now what happens is I can also, through a drag and drop interface that I also haven't defined yet, but I'm going to do it. Basically, I'll be able to create the algorithm that ranks these. So I'll say helps the cats times by 100 plus increases donations, improves the shelter. So I'll be able to create this ranking algorithm. And then that strategy will order the tasks. So when I'm looking for my next task, I can go into strategies, best for my cat shelter, see what's up there, and click the trophy, and then it brings it into the next wins. And now I can see in my next wins, I've got helps the cat shelter 99. Yes,
Yeah. So this actually just made me a little bit more bullish on this project idea. It was a little bit surprising to me when you first came up with it, because just maybe being around indie hackers and those kinds of crowds, I was expecting you to be thinking something that's like more premium pricing, aimed at a smaller number of people instead of like a broad consumer thing like this. But looking at this more, I think one of the key things that'll determine how well it goes is the UI UX. And that's something that you have a lot of experience with. So it seems like, a more compelling fit than I had initially thought.
And that is exactly because of the nugget process. That is why I picked this, because I like everything. What I've realized is I literally think I want to write a book about this, is the product founder fit formula. Is the most important thing. The reason why I'm working on this is because I've looked at every single vector. I follow the nugget process, and like everything aligns perfectly with my current stage of where I'm at as an entrepreneur, with my skill set, with the kind of market that I can serve. Because I've already proven with Plugio that I'm actually very good at serving consumers. I'm good at working with consumers and building consumer product. And so I've been branching out into all these other things that I'm not already proven at. So
it's just sense. the predominant advice for at least non VC funded. It's like everywhere I look, that's like aimed at bootstrappers. It's like, charge more, charge more. But like every rule is made to be broken, and everything should be looked at through the lens of your own personal context. Yeah.
And so that's the reason why I'm sort of really getting into this and realize why it's good. So the final piece that I think, now that you're sort of seeing the overall picture, so
it's also a lot clearer now.
Yeah, and it also makes sense now why there could be an improve my marriage strategy, because you just add, you add the things like, is going to make my wife happy, is going to create enrichment in our marriage. So you add the vectors. So you can imagine when someone's onboarding and coming into the system, like the first thing that you could do is you could sort of say, what are your goals? Do you want to improve your relationship? Do you want to make more money? Do you want to do this? And so they just select what they want to do. And then the system seeds the strategies that are related to what their goals are.
Yeah. I think it's like Anki, like the really hyper flexible, customizable tool. People will almost inevitably, there will be people who really like it and start using it for all kinds of stuff that you hadn't thought of.
So the final piece that I wanted was that what this is doing, the workspace helps me in the 0 foot view. Okay, that's the 0 foot view. I can quickly, that's where I'm working. Because remember, this is the last mile. This is like the last mile of getting work done and managing your tasks. So this is the getting work done phase. The task queue helps me optimize what tasks I pick. And now if I do that optimization every day for a year, even if I increase by 10%, 20%, like it's gonna have a huge impact on my life, compound interest impact.
Sure.
So then the missing piece is, okay, I need to track the outcomes and see what is the Justin Vincent index doing. Is it going up? Is there pieces that I'm unhappy about? Because I don't know if this ever happens to you, but this happens to me. I'll be doing something for a year or 6 months or something, and I'll realize, actually, I'm not really enjoying that. That isn't really a hell yeah kind of thing, or I'm not getting what I want out of that. And sometimes it's hard to really understand that. So I want a system where I could want like a closed feedback loop, so that I can basically go, okay, I can see what's happening, and then according to that, I can then alter the way that I'm working in this area.
Would this just be overall feedback on you, or would there be any feedback on your own judgment of how much the tasks were worth? Like, is there going to be something where it's like, well, you're actually not very good at estimating revenue impact, or some kind of feedback like that?
I'm very open to discussion. I'm only just started thinking about this, but what I do think is there should be two types of analysis. One of them should be analysis that the system can create. So, for example, based on these vectors, the system has, I don't know what to call these things.
Yeah, you keep saying vectors, making me think machine learning, which is making me think of, this is like back propagation. It's like we've already like done some learning against some goal, and then we have like feedback from the world, and then we need to tune everything in the previous layer.
I don't know what to call these things, like scales, ranks. I don't know, like attributes. I don't know what to call them. But anyway, because we've got these, let's say over the course of a month, you keep on adding tasks, the system will have these different ones that you've entered or that you've selected. And so then you'll be able to go to a view, like an analysis view. Okay, show me over the last month, what did I do? And so I'm imagining a chart that's like circles that are like tiny to 100. So everything's based from 0 to 100. And so imagine a matrix, and it says, task size, day job impact, pain level, revenue impact, happiness impact. And so then the circles are bigger the more that you've done over the last month. So you'll be able to look, and you'll get this quick matrix of all these different things, these different attributes, and see, wait a second, I've barely put anything into my day job impact. But look, I put, all this into, this thing. So you can sort of see, and you'll also be able to get a burn down rate because of task size. Automatically I've got a points 1 through 5. So I'll be able to say, this is how many points of work you've done. But then, so that's like what the system can offer you. But then what I also want is every day when I log in, I want to be able to define a number of things. And this is the mock-up that I've got for this. But basically, I want to be able to track. This is the index tracker that I'm talking about. So I want it to be able to, let's see, stencils, let's try. Yeah. I want something like this. So that every day I can just quickly go, if I'm happy or not, like on these things. And then after a month, I can look back and I can say, oh man, blood sugar is consistently going down. Like I really need to just rethink that. The wealth is just like, if you don't do anything, it just goes in a straight line. And so that's the true feedback loop about the important things that you want to track.
This is interesting. This is especially, blood sugar and wealth are both really tight feedback loops. It's very clear data you get from it.
And it's just a quick little survey. So just when you start working in the morning or whatever, it just pops up once a day and just gives you the option to just rank how you're feeling about those things, whatever's important to you at the time. And so that could also be useful for, like, let's say, for example, you're dating, and you're dating like two people. you could essentially put them on there and keep track of, like, wait a second, how happy am I? Like because you don't even remember. Stuff happens every day that you feel in the moment, but then you forget it next week.
Yeah.
So sure. if you log that feeling on a daily basis, then you can kind of look back, and that gives you insights. Yeah, this thing, I was not happy about this every day. I
think this is an XKCD comic somewhere in here. But yeah, this is interesting. So how much more is there in this thing?
Well, how do you mean? How do you mean?
I guess that's all of your mock-ups, but it just seems like there's a lot of complexity in the app, and
well, the complexity is because of the where you're starting, and because there's no onboarding, and like when you came in the first place, like there would be onboarding, and can you guess how the onboarding is going to be done?
Just purely. Actually, oh wait, beta list, yeah. Oh, speak. Oh, that makes sense because that's higher touch, and you can.
Yes.
Exactly. That actually.
So the whole app, so Speak will be completely integrated in it, and every time someone wants, I'm thinking maybe there'll be a mode of like show all the Speak buttons, and so wherever you are on the UI, you can press a button and it'll show you how that works and give you insights into how to do that, and then that will say powered by Speak, and then people will go, that's a very cool onboarding, and click the powered by Speak link. And so then hopefully Speak will get some interest and some business.
Yeah, and Speak is almost definitely going to be a lot more expensive.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And if and so finally people, because I haven't really had an opportunity to show Speak in its true light and what its capabilities are. And so it's going to help me make Speak a better product as well, to do it fully integrated with an app like this.
Why isn't Speak on Nugget yet?
Because of just these just
the time
choices. It's just the choices. It's like what should I do next? And that's exactly the reason why I wanted to build this system. Because what I've realized is I for the last 7 years until recently I was working with a partner who was a project manager in my day job, but she's moved on to another job, and I realized that I was using her for all of this. I was reflecting off her, and that was how I was coming up with these decisions about what to work on. So I realized I'm building her.
Wow.
That's what's going on. Yeah.
Wow. Is she still in Nugget, or is it all you now?
No, she is still with Nugget, but we're not sort of working on a daily basis together. So I just not having those sort of reflective conversations about making the
same insights,
best choices.
Yeah. Well, that's what this podcast is for. We can.
Well, yeah.
Yep. And the audience, like if 2 heads are better than 1, then even 10 followers is freaking awesome.
That'll be exciting to get comments